What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, as always, Parker Bohan, and the Blade Dive, man, we're kind of cross-pollinating with conversations this week with our guests, so expanding on topics that have been previously discussed, but new horizons for conversations from, I wouldn't say he's an outsider to the ops world, but he's a man that definitely can be empathetic to some snowcat operators, and he claims he can mow the grass. We'll get into that in a second. Really quick, if you're not following us on social media yet, please be sure to do that. It's at The Blade Dive. You can find us with that handle. Now is a really good time to thank our sponsor, Prenoth. They back this podcast, and I'm just grateful for their support. So big shout out to Prenoth. Thank you so much. Another idea I've been toying around with is pro tips and tricks, and highlighting those in the stories of Instagram. So I get hit up all the time. Parker, how do you do this? Or how do other people do that? Or do you have a video of this? Can you show me an example? And why not involve the community to do something like that? So if you want to be featured, create a story. Send us a DM with your idea. Had Jeremy Carpenter hit me up with an idea that I'm not going to tell you because I think it's rad. And if he produces the video, it would be incredible. So that kind of shit. It'd be rad. Let me know what you think. If you think it's stupid, let me know. Okay, episode 38, Pat Morgan. He has worked for companies like Forum Snowboards, Red Bull, Big Boulder, now with Mountain Creek, marketing and brand manager. Rad dude, he's himself, and that's why I wanted to talk to him, because he's been that himself, and he's gotten where he is. So how does that work? Really want to unpack some deep subjects here, and we did. So fair warning. And if you're at home right now, grab your favorite drink, kick your feet up, and if you're in the machine anywhere in the world, turn up the volume.
Go ahead and give it the juice. Already.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back. Pat Morgan is in the booth and with me. And if you do not know Mr. Morgan, Pat is a guru of all things marketing, guru of all things terrain park. But one of the things that we want to do with the Blade Dive and everybody that is tuned in and listening is we want to cross-pollinate. We want things to kind of shift and move and have people take away even more from what we're discussing. And Pat has previously held job titles, not to get too prolific on all that, but job titles. Marketing and brand manager at Snow Partners currently. That's a big deal. And he was formerly the director of freestyle terrain at Big Boulder. So he knows his way around brands and messaging and everything of that nature. But he's a rock star when it comes to the industry. A lot of people know Mr. Pat Morgan. So, dude, welcome to the booth. We kind of pushed pause. My wife had a baby, but I'm glad we're reconnecting and making this thing happen, man. Welcome to the show.
Gosh, like I said to you previously, I never thought I would be privy to an invite. After such an incredible cast of previous participants. Thank you, and man, I'm really psyched to dive in on whatever we got to talk about.
No doubt. And it's awesome. I miss the podcast. I really have. It's wonderful to take time for the family. And funny story.
Yeah, by the way, congrats.
Dude, thanks.
I can't believe that you actually took time to let me know, and you should have just told me how it was.
It was amazing, though, because for everybody that's listening right now, it was amazing. Pat and I had scheduled a time, and I was trying to skirt the delivery and just making sure that we could kind of squeeze Pat into the recording process as we stack content. And I like to be on time for things as much as I can. Maybe I arrive precisely when I mean to, but Pat and I had agreed to catch up a little before 8 p.m. his time, 5 p.m. my time, and I call Pat and I say, "Hey man, how's it going?" He's like, "Oh man, this is going great. How's the Bluetooth sound? I got the Bluetooth headset in. It's sounding really good." And I said, "Yeah, it sounds really great. We're gonna."
By the way, about to have a baby.
So we're gonna need to reschedule. And it was great because you said, dude, go do that. And click. And that was pretty much
You're like, get off the phone with me.
that was pretty much the end of it, dude. But it was really cool, and I've been looking forward to catching up with you and dialing in what it would really kind of look like to have not so much an intense conversation, but a really rad way to unpack all things that are you. So I'm grateful for your time, but you know the deal. You've been listening, and I'm grateful for that support as well. We kick this thing off with a special guest question. You cool with that?
I'm nervous about it, but yeah, let's do this.
I don't think there's any reason to be nervous. It's from the man, the myth, legend, Mr. Pat himself, Bridges. I'll play it for you right now. Here we go.
This is Pat Bridges, currently from Slush to Magazine. Stoked to have an opportunity to take part in the Blade Dive, particularly this episode, as I've worked with both Parker and Pat for quite a while at this point, and I've always enjoyed that. So I have a two-part question for Pat. The first one goes all the way back. So Pat, before you were at Big Boulder, you were working with the program. You were kind of at the tip of the spear as far as core snowboarding goes, with Forum and Foursquare, Special Blend, so on and so forth. And here we are in 2021, and you've taken a journey beyond, the sales and the brand side of things to the resort side of our industry. What have you learned as far as the different dynamics at play there, and what the core needs to do to regain its place as steering the ship for the whole industry? Is there anything that the core doesn't realize that you've come to learn that are takeaways that could help us just maintain the opinion leaders, driving the opinions, and, like I said, steering the ship? And then the second part is actually, relates to this newest chapter of your arc and your journey. Going from Big Boulder to Big Snow in Mountain Creek, but Big Snow in particular, what are the challenges that are inherent to both working at an indoor spot as well as working on a hill that isn't that is man-made and elevated? Could you elaborate on some of the unique challenges that are just inherent to Big Snow as opposed to any other resorts in North America? Look forward to hearing what you say, and both of you guys, both Pat, Parker, thank you guys for everything you guys are doing, and also thank you, Parker, for growing the conversation around cutters and the cat drivers and what they've got going on, because personally, selfishly, if it wasn't for what guys like yourself and Pat are doing, I'd probably be hitting the gates. So, all right, have a good one. Bye.
Holy smokes.
There's a lot to unpack there, but I just want to say thanks to Bridges for chiming in there. That was amazing. But yeah, take it away.
First and foremost, ultimate respect for Pat. I can't believe I grew up reading his columns as I believe it was angry interns in former magazines. I think I was really fortunate to work with Dan Mack, Evan Rose, Rob Myers, and others behind the scenes at the program. Nikki Scoggins, also Jared Eberhardt. I feel like I'm just rattling off legends at this point. But what needs to happen in terms of our opinion leaders and other things is we need to get back to being authentic. We need to be honest. We need to just get real with it again. We don't need marketing fluff. We don't need fodder. We just gotta get back to what it's all about, right? And that's standing sideways in terms of snowboarding. What else did Bridges ask me?
This is the best part of I love this show. All right, so
one of the things that I can like kind of relate it to is, Jack Frost, Big Boulder. Big Boulder had its own tone, and Jack Frost was, the more family weekend guest relating, right? So it was like it yeah, you just gotta just be real.
Well, I was just say this, like, it was really interesting to hear. There was just several different people over the time that we have been. What is it? Our new baby boy is 7 days old today. And so being 7 days old, it's amazing how much unsolicited advice you get from people about what you should buy and what you should do and how you should take care of them. And some of the most real things that we have experienced from people, and I think this is where I'm relating to your point, just personally out of the realm of the snow world, is some of the most genuine, authentic things that we were experiencing as people, was, how can I help you? Would you like for us to buy you a meal? Do you need me to do your laundry? Do you want us to take Madison for a second?
Mhm.
What do you need from me that can help you be you? And I think that kind of along the lines of what you're saying is, I agree. I think that is it. Like the core needs to be what it was. I don't think that you can go forward without knowing where you've come from, and I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
I I don't understand like why it was like forgotten, so to speak. I'm gonna speak to like snowboarding specifically, but it was like we used to be like outlaws, and um, we were always on the edge. And you know, I'm sure if I grew up a two-planker, I would probably find similar characteristics, so to speak. I don't know. I just think we got to get back to like just having more fun with it. Like it doesn't need to be so corporate and managed. And I don't know how we change that, but I hope there's some good opinion leaders. I hope there's some good management in place at some of the top 5 brands out there. And yeah, I just hope we get back to just making it fun again. I feel like that's been a little lost.
Well,
I,
like
I
I was gonna say, like, one of the things that you've done recently, though, that kind of relates to what Pat was talking about was, I was, um, the game of snow has existed for, I mean, just like the game of skate for decades.
mhm.
And you recently just did that. Not to tie like too soon into his other question, but like that to me is one of the things that maintains that core perspective of being itself, being real. And the fact that that existed at your facility indoors is dope, man. I mean, and that's just my 2 cents on it. But personally, I loved your picture that you had of yourself on the mic too. Again, we got to talk about your MC days.
Yeah, gosh, we were super fortunate to host that event. And we even kind of I don't know if you noticed the rail construction.
I did.
Shouts to Batera and Effective Edge, turning it from a 4-inch flat bar to a 2-inch square bar, essentially. And the riders were thrilled by it. So, just things like that. Like, what if we broke the mold, so to speak, and just got back to keeping it a little raw and a little edgy. And I don't know. I think there's still potential there to re-inspire the stoke, so to speak.
Well, to me, that was one of those events that literally flipped things sideways because you've got a revolutionary indoor facility that is essentially hosting
Yes.
something that is absolutely progressive, and you're bringing in professional writers, and they're directly involved, or at least seem to be, riding the chairlift up with everybody else that was riding the place. That to me, that is the experience. I mean,
Yeah, like that truly was like one of the most powerful guest experiences that I've ever seen. Like to ride up the lift with Zeb Powell, Miles Fallon, just incredible. Jill Perkins, Des Melanson, like all of them. Like where else could you get that guest experience, so to speak? Truly incredible for our team members, which is what we call our staff with snow partners, and yeah, just again our guests, like coming in sight unseen, like not knowing that they're gonna catch a chair with some of the best pro riders in the world.
yeah, it was really cool to see. So like that's me kind of maybe connecting the dots with just what Bridges was discussing, because the core, I feel like we could create a whole episode about this question.
I know.
The core offering, the core perspective, what those people need to be able to do to push things and propel things in that direction. So look, Digi Dave definitely has, I think, a great point of view with respect to just New Jersey and the things that are happening there. And he's been preaching that for quite some time, and I'm still kind of a precursor to maybe his special guest question that's coming later. Hint, hint. But he has stated before, like, there are really rad things with progression in the ski industry that's happening in New Jersey. And we are staying way out of realm with the chronological things with your career and life. But dude, I think he's right. I think that between kind of Pat's question and where things are with that event, and I want you to kind of speak to what he was describing too with your constraint compared to building something outdoors and building something indoors. Same quality, but you've got what? I mean, you're literally looking at I-beams that can only really withstand certain weights. You're looking at height constraints that are really only allowing riders to go so high. So you got to be pretty precise, man.
We've got an incredible team at Big Snow. Our GM Mark Dromboski, Chris O'Rourke, our slope manager, and then obviously like looping in the Mountain Creek team of like Matt Byerly, Effective Edge, to like just really make sure we're dialed right. And it's pretty incredible like what we're able to pull off there. And I think the big thing with the park setup is we truly only need to like really play to like the small medium guest, and that's uncommon for guest satisfaction. It's truly remarkable like what we're able to do. We don't need to build a super pipe indoors. We don't need to build a big air jump. We don't really need to like really overexert ourselves. And just the guest satisfaction is incredible, in terms of rail selection, tiny jumps. But that's all it takes. It's enough to scratch the itch. It's enough to keep people engaged, and it's enough to open the door for somebody that's gonna fill our chairlift down the day. So,
like you just saying that, hey, our thing is very special because our constraints, we understand them, and that's going to push us to build things for people that actually want to come and ride what we have to offer. And if that means that we have to build smaller or medium features and their stoke level is still just as high, they feel at peace and they feel like they're actually riding something they want to ride, then we're going to keep doing that because that's us. Dude, that's awesome.
and it's like here's the thing, like we can put a 16-foot flat bar out there, and listen, if you're good, you can hit it all four ways, right? And if you're not that good, you can 50-50 it. So it's yeah, it's just, I think it's important to have that that look and that experience, and yeah, I think we're I think we're on the right path.
Yeah, I think we are too. Absolutely. Well, huge shout out to Bridges for contributing. I always love catching up with that guy. He always has a way of kind of provoking the honest truth out of people. It's really cool. And yeah, I think you spoke brilliantly to that.
He still owes me almost 4 hours of catching up on his bomb hole episode, but yeah, I holy moly, that guy is an incredible storyteller, incredible historian, and the snowboarding world is better because of him, and I will always have appreciation for him.
As will I. I've definitely had the privilege of being around him for very small amounts of time, but when we have worked together, it's been magical. So grateful he's contributed. You know, Pat, look, we and it's funny because I've had people ask me multiple times, you know, hey, seems to me you have this network or you have this inner circle of people that you kind of pull from to be guests, and that was one of the really cool reasons why I wanted to reach out to you, is because first of all, this isn't your first podcast. Um, you've been a part of podcasts in the past, and the host that I listened to that had you on his podcast was a pro. This guy was a G, and it was almost like the gentleman that reached out for the autograph of LeBron or whoever the professional athlete may be. You took the time to kind of go, yep, I can sign that. And you did that, man. Like, you totally participated in that process of whatever he wanted to produce and get the listener engaged with respect to things that were happening at Big Boulder or things that were happening at Creek. And it was really cool to kind of listen to the life updates, the product offering updates, what the season would look like. And, you know, does that make you a seasoned podcaster? I would say yes. But we were chatting offline just about that experience, man, and I kind of wanted to tip the hat rather. I believe it was Garrett. Is that right?
Griffin, I believe
sorry.
we're talking about. Yeah, Griffin Kleinley. Yeah, he's a pretty remarkable young man. Came in fully prepared and couldn't believe you know, he had like a laundry list of questions for me, and yeah, set up shop right in the cantina at Big Boulder, and yeah, just kind of blew my mind for such a such a young buck to be that dialed.
Yeah, like firing questions at you. I was impressed, man. So Griffin, like, tip of the hat to you, man. Well done.
Low key, he's a national champion, USA SA.
What?
It was like slalom or giant slalom or something like that. Border cross maybe. Yeah, that kid goes fast.
Dude, that's awesome. Griffin,
Yeah,
go fast. That's dope, man. Go hard. That's incredible.
he's got I think Donick actually sponsors him, which, you know, none of us are going to ride those boards because they're honestly a plank.
Hey, but Griffin, if you do it, dude, I mean, hell yeah, more power to you. I just thought it was awesome.
No shade. Just
Yeah.
it's too much board for me.
Yeah, I definitely am. I'm a soft guy. If I was to throw it out, more of a gibber. If I was going to categorize myself these days, low to the ground. But it was really cool. Like, you know, on my end, I do the backside of the research, and I try to at least come to the table with a little bit of knowledge before I jump into these conversations. And it was just really dope to listen to something like that, because I mean, shit, man, I've never met you in person, and here I am in today's 21st century world, reaching out digitally to have a conversation, and it's awesome to kind of hear other people's questions they've asked you before, or or listen to something that you've engaged in, or read something that you've engaged in the past as the marketing guru. But really the big point that I want to bring up is, you're an ideas guy. I mean, that's how I would categorize you. I don't know if that's how you would categorize you, but I feel like that's correct. But I could be completely wrong.
I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. Like I've got a lot of ideas, and sometimes I don't know how to execute them or get them across the finish line. But I'll tell you what, there's no shortage of ideas.
Dude, yeah, I think the ideas are by the plentiful, but it's kind of all it's whether the idea is good or whether the idea is bad is up to the beholder and maybe how they're presenting it. And I think that we've talked about it before. Passion and the fact that you have it for the industry, but also it's people. It's a big thing, and I think that kind of ties into your conversation with Griffin, like you taking the time to actually sit down with that guy and have a conversation, and you're not judging whatsoever. You're like, yeah, man, whatever, I got time for you. But
Yeah, and I mean, I will never stop making time for anybody that
so
wants
cool.
to pick the brain or be engaged. I as part of my preparation for your this podcast, one of the biggest things that I believe in is people, product, and process, and that comes from a guy named Marcus Lemonis, and I just think ultimately, if we think about those three things, we're better for it, and the industry is better for it. So I don't know.
No,
That's
I
that's
agree.
my soapbox.
Well, dude, like I agree with that. People first, always. Product and process can be fine-tuned and evolved. The very embryonic idea of just what it is to maybe unpack that process that you're talking about. But I would be most interested in kind of like all things aside, like your technique is you. That's how you do it. But if we were to break it down into 3 different parts, and I know that's, whatever. Parker, you're only bringing up 3 different things that maybe how Pat would do it. Okay, look, like people are going to hate on that, but that's fine. But if I'm just trying to simplify it for everybody listening and Pat too, because I could make Pat maybe unpack 12, but he would probably tell me to go get fucked. Like, dude, I'm not unpacking 12 ideas of my process. But, I would say that an idea has 3 different parts to it, or that process. And that would be, the ideation, the selling of the idea, and maybe its production. And I would be very much interested in which one you enjoy the most and which one you loathe.
I think the honest answer is it's a absolute complete toss up between like the ideation and the production. I think I think there's like nothing like coming up with an idea that you know is a home run, but there's quite no, how do I say it? There's not a better feeling in the world than seeing it to fruition, production, a banger event. And sometimes, selling is it's honestly awful because like not everybody speaks your language. You have to know like your room and your audience, and sometimes it takes arm twisting and truly convincing people like to trust in you. And it's it's hard, man. Whether it's a brand partner, senior management, and you can't take for granted that like every ball that you hit is going to go out of the park. I think that's a lesson well learned across my various business paths. So,
Do you think, I was going to throw this out there too. I mean, you said it was kind of a toss up, but is selling the idea, unless like which one is more difficult to you? Is selling the idea more difficult, or is the ideation more difficult? Because there's obviously stress coming up with the idea and then pitching it to somebody eventually. But the production of the idea involves more people probably too. Which one is maybe more difficult, more stressful, more of a pain in the ass?
I think I'll die on the vine in terms of selling is absolutely the hardest part.
Yeah.
I I pride myself in being a creative and surrounding myself with like-minded individuals. So like ideation is always there's no shortage of ideas, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And then production, like, gosh, that's like the fruits of your labor. Like, so that's your moment where you get to shine, where it's just like, hey guys, like looking back on some of my lineage, like from Youngblood World Finals, Red Bull Rhythm Section, Red Bull All Snow, Red Bull Buttercup, all these things track, and it's just important to bring people along for the ride and make sure you surround yourself with an incredible team to do so.
And I think that's where it really relates to the on snow piece and the operator relationships. And I wanted to bring that up with this question because it's one thing to hold a job title. It's another thing to be able to hold a job title of really prowess, to be able to come to the operators or the operations team and relate, man. And there's just, that's where I feel like there's this gap in a lot of what's out there right now. And there's very few people that can connect it.
It's tough because it's tough because like coming from we'll just call it the enterprise, there were quite literally people scoped into marketing that have never set foot on hill. So therefore, what do they know about the overnight snowmaker? What do they know about the guy that has to retrack the cat on the hill?
Yeah.
They can't speak to it. And one of the things that I realized very quickly, they were like, well, how do you know that? I was like, well, because I've been there. Like, and how are you marketing a product that you can't genuinely and accurately speak to? And I just felt it was like the wrong fit for me. And here I am now with an incredible team and no looking back.
Well, and we were talking offline too before we jumped on. It's one thing to produce print, digital words. It's another thing to kind of get on a podcast and actually talk and do your thing. I was going to ask you too. Do you think that because this is how I've told you this before. I'm pretty sure I have. You're funny. Like you are, like when you write shit, like you're funny. But you have a big vocabulary, and I was curious as to maybe whether or not you thought your gosh, I don't know. Are you a writer? Do you think that you kind of have like because I mean, you just did this whole magazine thing that's dope, and I think people should know about that. And if you want to speak to that, you can. But I definitely wanted to ask you that. I feel like you are I feel like you're a really good writer.
It's actually funny you mentioned that. I used to write for the newspapers in Ellicottville, my hometown. Well, actually, my hometown is Machias, but Ellicottville is where everybody knows me from. Like again, I would write about whatever the article assignment was, and I always prided myself in having a extensive vocabulary, we'll say, much to my parents' chagrin. And
SAT word right there.
yep. And I kind of miss writing, to be honest with you. So it's tough because you don't want to come off like you're bragging or taking credit for it, but truly just there's an incredible team on the East Coast of like creative mindsets and want to continue to push the envelope in terms of event concepts and things like that. So I guess my long-winded answer is I'm better because of the team I surround myself with.
We're, as we slowly begin to see resort management change, and we're involving more park people, or people that are Jeremy Cooper and Jay Ridd and Jay Scambio, and those people are kind of taking the helm, who have, I would say, really started out their career. They have as park individuals. Alongside them, though, you still clearly understand all the operational touch points that require the skill sets of operators. So there's that empathy piece that's tied in there that we kind of just unpacked. But from maybe a very high aerial view, if it's 30,000 feet or higher, maybe walk us through that level of rationale and how you arrived at that mindset.
I think I was very fortunate to had like a tough listen, pal. If you want it done, you got to be here for it. And whether that was snowmaking or riding shotgun in a machine or whatever, it started from a very, very young age. And I was very, very fortunate to earn that acceptance from my ops teams, where I was riding along or learning how to roll a fucking snowmaking hose. Like anything that it took to succeed.
To have somebody from marketing ride along, my wife. that's probably it, and that's been some of the most fun experiences ever, because she'll just say like, "Hey babe, I love you. That fucking backblade sucked. That was the shittiest. That was horrible. Can you redo that for me?" Yep.
Well, yeah, and it's like if like you just said, like, is that really the straightest cut that you could have made?
Yeah.
Like, are we gonna have to spend fucking 6 hours fucking cutting that by hand? Like, I mean,
Yeah, where's your head out there? Yeah.
But like, how do you say that to an operator who is already mentally, physically, and food taxed?
Yeah.
Because I quickly learned over the years that I don't know. I think it's important to salute the people behind the sticks.
There's a level of empathy. There's a level of understanding there that has to be understood by the person that's making the request.
Well, dude, and like, think about it. Like, transporting a polecat across the resort, like that doesn't happen with a snap of a finger. So,
nope. No, definitely.
I think like part of the thing that is lost on most marketing departments is being like, all right, we need snow made there, but what does that cost us time wise and operator wise? And it's a shame that that isn't recognized, realized, or honored.
One of the things that I think that I need some help with, being from New York State yourself, is some pronunciations of cities within New York State. So we're gonna do a little new segment in the show. I'm gonna have to pull up all the intel that I have via photos. So I'm gonna play our little jingle here. This is the new segment for the Blade Dive. It's called Pat's Pronunciations for Cities in New York State. Here we go.
I don't even know what that means.
So, for everybody that's listening right now, we are going to attempt to pronounce, or I am rather, Pat's going to know the answers to these. We're going to attempt to pronounce cities' names within New York State. And what I've done is I have sent Pat the cities. There's 6 of them. And we'll go in sequential order. I believe the first one starts with a C. I'm going to have an attempt at pronouncing it, and I'll elaborate on just real quickly well, actually, I think I'll let Pat do it. The history of the names within New York State, because I'm from Tennessee, and when you go to Tennessee, there are towns like Johnson City, Knoxville, Jackson. Easily pronounceable cities within Tennessee. Just going to throw that out there. So I'm going to go.
Although not to interject.
No, go.
Watauga Lake, not the easiest to pronounce.
Oh, Pat's calling me at my own game. Watauga. Oh man, yeah, gotcha. So these are tough, man. Like this one's tougher than Watauga. I'm gonna throw the first one out there. It starts with a C. I'm gonna make an attempt at pronouncing it. Okay. I'll spell it first. Coxsackie. I'm gonna go with Coxsackie. Did I fuck that up?
I think it's actually called Koshaki.
Where do you get the sh? And where do you get the ko? Like, is the X the silent? Is it a silent X?
Well, it's like that. It's like that XSC. Like it's like I don't know. Like it's fucked up.
Koshaki. All right. Well, I mean, again, you're the writer. I'm not the writer. So you know the silent letters and the combinations of what they sound like together correctly.
Yeah. Everything in New York is messed up. So let's keep it going.
I don't know about that. I mean, I do have a lot of respect for the Yankees.
What?
Well, they beat the Braves, man. The Braves make it to the World Series in '99. I mean, if they're gonna beat them, they beat them good. It was a 4-game. It was a 4-game shutout. So,
who is that? Who is that fat pitcher?
CC Sabathia.
No. Andy.
Wait, for the Braves or for the Yankees?
No, the Yankees.
CC Sabathia was throw it out there.
No.
Oh, David Wells.
David Wells. Yeah.
Sorry, Coop. Moving on to the next city, I'm going to spell this name. It is Schohoarei. Fuck. Shahari. Skohari?
Yeah.
Skohari. Okay, I could see that. Touche. Well done. Next city. All right, I'm going to spell this one for everybody that's listening. It is spelled S-C...
This should be good.
Schenectady. Damn it. Schenectady?
Holy crap. Schenectady.
Okay, yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, I could see that. Schenectady. Yeah, Schenectady.
I can't even wait to see how you butcher the next one.
Schenectady. This is all about me throwing myself under the bus. This is about lifting up Pat Morgan right here.
Stop it.
Let's see the next city. Okay, I'm gonna spell this one. Oof, this one's tough.
You are completely screwed with this one.
I'm gonna fuck this one up for sure. He's already Googled how to pronounce them with the Audible that Google plays. So I'm gonna spell
or I just know how to pronounce them.
Or that's true too. I'm gonna let's spell it. Here we go. It is spelled IRONDEQUOIT. You know that pause in the spelling bee game?
Yeah. So are you gonna go for it or no?
No, that's what's happening right now. When you're in the spelling bee, the national spelling bee, I think they usually take a pause, like a quick pause. Except I'm
Well,
trying to just enunciate the word.
it's a rondequoit.
God damn it, Pat. I was gonna say a ron to quit.
So what we got two more.
Two more. Pat's like, oh my god, move on to the next one. Okay.
No, I'm ready.
Two more. I'm gonna spell this word. I'm gonna go with here we go. O-S. You're like, word? It's a city. O-S-W-E-G-A-T-C-H-I-E. Oswegatchie.
I mean, that's pretty good.
Okay. Was that close there?
Yeah. I believe it's Oswegatchie.
Okay.
But we'll count it.
Yeah,
And
fuck. I
then,
don't think that's a go.
And then we got one more that starts with a P.
Yeah, it does start with a P. Okay, I'm gonna spell this one for everybody that's listening. It's Poughkeepsie.
Let's hear it.
Oh shit. Pug Keepsy.
Pretty gosh darn close. Poughkeepsie.
Yeah. Anyway, for everybody that's listening, thank you so much for tolerating my inability to participate accurately in Pat's pronunciations. But Pat, thanks for playing.
I don't even know what that means.
Growing up in New York, being a Bills fan, maybe paint that picture for us, what it was like growing up as you. Because to me, I have this thing like envisioned in my head. It's like, dude, that would have been rad.
It was honestly a lot of heartbreak. Because pretty much in grade 3, we lost the first Super Bowl, and yeah, it was a lifetime of heartbreak after the fact, and only recently has gotten better. So
Hey,
it's,
Tyrod Taylor was my hero. I will say that. Like, I don't know why.
Tyrod Taylor was pretty fucking sick.
Dude, he was a G, and people, I don't know, like he went through hell and back, and it's awesome that he is where he is now. But when he was playing for the Bills, I was always stoked to watch the Bills games if it was in front of me because he was the quarterback, man. He was an entertainer. He was awesome. He was a hell of a quarterback.
I can't believe this conversation turned into us rambling about the fucking Bills.
That's what we do for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm about to really unload on you right here.
Go.
Holy moly. I can't actually believe I have this many pennants.
Well, it's to me, like, it's a big part of who you are. And so, like, for example, right now, I'm not even going to Google what the score is on the Braves game right now. Not even going there. But if they win game 2 and they take it back to Atlanta 2 games up in the World Series, I'm going to be thrilled tomorrow morning. That was the closest team that I had to me that I could relate. Professional sports.
So I'm a Blue Jays fan. So.
Yeah, they beat us in, was that 92, 93, something like that. And then they got beat.
Joe Carter, baby.
Dude, Joe Carter smashed that bomb, man. God.
Smacked it over the fucking world.
That was such a bomb. And the Blue Jays won the World Series that year. They beat the Phillies.
Correct. Yeah, they beat Lenny Dykstra.
Yeah, and you don't have to if you don't want to, but like, was it foster care thing? Was it? I mean, I know you casually mentioned the gypsies scenario, but like,
that's just like my shitty brand of humor.
Well, I didn't think it was shitty.
No, it's I was 16 months old when I was adopted, And yeah, my parents are the only parents that I know, and I think like the cool thing is, whether it was like the extended family that I had at HoliMont, Holiday Valley, Big Boulder, and now Mountain Creek, like it um it always feels like home, and
Mm,
I'm forever grateful for it. And it's funny, like I think I told you, going back to HoliMont when I was 18, putting dry erase board on top
yeah,
sheets of boxes.
yeah, yeah.
I'm at uh, now now those young knuckleheads are you know executives in Toronto, and I'm just like, huh. So I was your role model.
Yeah.
So um, I'm actually looking at a photo right now from Angel Fire USASA Nationals, and yeah, it's just it's nuts how long the lineage is of people that support you, people that mean a lot to you, and you know the kids that you helped uh, helped inspire. Not to sound cheesy.
No,
So
man, I'm all about cheesy, mushy, emotional. I'm all about that. I'm grateful that you let me bring that up, and it's really cool that that's a part of your life because again, it's very poetic how you approach. And I see it from afar, like re-referencing that 30,000-foot view. I see it from afar. I see it digitally. I see it on social media. Your ability to have a conversation with somebody is very you're okay with having it on their accord, man. Like you're okay with approaching them and you're okay with them approaching you. And I think that goes back to that podcast conversation that you had with Griffin. Like you get it. Like you understand. Like you literally understand what it means to put forth somebody else's priorities over yours. And you're willing to love that. And to me, man, the industry needs more of that, and I'm grateful that you were willing to share that tidbit, that story. I think it's powerful.
we should all be better for having more honest conversations, I feel.
Yeah, we become these soulless people that really have, I don't know, like a put together agenda, as opposed to leaning on people that actually realize we need their help. And so I think I think it's rad. I think it's awesome that you're bringing it up and you're willing to talk about it.
Yeah,
I thought it was dope because
yeah. I don't know. Like I just I've always felt fortunate. I've always felt beyond lucky. Not to sound cheesy, but it's just like, like it's important to have people give a fuck about us, and yeah, we should
yeah,
we should embrace it. Ellicottville, is anybody that knows me, um, such an incredible town, such a such a dynamic place, with HoliMont and Holiday Valley being in the same town, and then obviously cutting my teeth, so to speak, at both places. Yeah, it's gosh, some of the stories you you wouldn't believe, and then it's just it's just one of those towns, man. It's cool. Everything from the depot being like the Rolling Stones tribute bar to you know Madigan's, where you saw me celebrate my potential 40th the other night. It's
Via social media, that was rad. Did you even know that was a surprise, by the way?
I had zero idea. If you had told me that my parents were going to be at my favorite bar in the world at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, I would have called bullshit. And yeah, here we are, better because of it. So fuck, I'm old.
Well, that actually transitions. Well, not that you are old, but that transitions really well into our next special guest question.
Let's hear it.
And it is from no one other than DigiDave himself. So here we go.
Oh God.
Pat Morgan, you're about to turn 40. I want to know what year 50 looks like in your mind. What are your goals? How do you get there? And no, Pat, saying that the Bills have won multiple Super Bowls is not the answer that I or anyone else wants to hear, because we all know that is not possible.
Well, 50 years old. I think the thing that I think the nuance to Dave's question is none of us thought that we would be here, let's say 10 years ago. So how do we predict another 10 years, right? So it's like it's hard. Like the snow sports industry could be dramatically different. Who would have thought that everybody was craving split boards 10 years ago? Nobody.
Right.
So so where do we set our sights on another 10 years? And yeah, I hope at the end of the day there are still very, very full chairlifts, gondolas, trams, whatever whatever your business model is. And yeah, I hope we are continuing to make the best terrain parks that we can, because I will always selfishly be driven by freestyle terrain. So,
well, I'm gonna hit you with a bit of a 1-2 punch, and Mike Batera is our next special guest question. So here we go. I'll play it for you now.
Pat Morgan, great to hear you're going to be on the Blade Dive. I'm excited to hear your episode. So, question for you. You recently went through some, groundbreaking changes. You were at Big Boulder, and they were purchased by Vail Resort. A lot of staff and employees, they look at this as, a closed door for them in the industry, right? This is a big change that can affect people, and it's probably going to affect some people this winter when a Vail or Alterra or whomever comes in and purchases more resorts. Employees are going to question their future in the industry and their future in their career path they've taken, and their passion for the mountain resort industry. What advice would you give to a resort employee that finds himself in a similar predicament that you had when you were at Big Boulder? Basically, how can you create positive change and look forward to a new future?
oof.
Whoa. The Bridges and Batera got together and had this meeting before they submitted their questions or something. I don't know.
Holy smokes. I feel like I'm in a title fight right now. I think I can speak to Batera's question where you should just never ever turn down opportunity. And I think that's so important. If it's outside of your job scope, if it's outside of your comfort zone, you should never say no. And I think that's a valuable lesson to be learned by all of us, regardless of who your parent company is, whether it's the enterprise, the other company, or my current company of Snow Partners. And yeah, it's just really important to just be, not to sound cheesy, be comfortable without or sorry, how do I say it? Be comfortable with being uncomfortable, and just take on like those challenges. And I think we are all really fortunate to be figuring out what the snow sports industry looks like moving forward. And now's the time. Like, let's go. we've got an incredible stable of all of us around the same age, and it's time to start succeeding senior leadership. Maybe some older opinions and things like that. And I don't think that's the worst thing, where we can evolve and thrive, and really challenge authority. And I think we have to be like appreciative of where we came from. I think we have to recognize the culture that's in place at every resort. If you don't do those things, you're never going to get to where you want to be. That's a challenging mindset for people to warm up to. And I don't think it necessarily boils down to marketing versus operations. I think it, again, you need to show respect to lineage, heritage, culture, community, so on and so forth. And if you can't do those things, then you're never going to thrive as you anticipated you would. And I think those are very important things to just keep on the radar, so to speak. So
deep thoughts from Pat Morgan right there. Woof.
I know. I feel like I need to like wipe my brow.
I was gonna say, like, shout out to Dave and Batera for contributing. Those were two very intense situations that Pat had to navigate there. I've navigated very well. I don't think that there was any doubt that he could have done it, but answered very well. Yeah, well done, man. It's always been interesting to me, just maybe with respect to how people kind of want to understand operations within a resort, but I've always found it fascinating the discord that is either created or occurs, and we've touched on it earlier, but between marketing departments in resorts and operations departments, and in attempts to really understand kind of maybe what their idea is, or if it isn't operationally possible or safe. But Johnny Lightning actually has a pretty good special guest question that ties into what I'm getting at, so I'll play it for you now.
What's up, Blade Dive? Parker, nice to finally chat. Pat, coming from a strong marketing background, but you yourself not being an operator, which a lot of guys I don't think know. What kind of challenges have you faced when it comes to project management and working with some of these park programs to kind of get your visions across and get the job done?
Yeah, so first and foremost, like, shout out Johnny Lightning. I mean, man, we've been through some absolute battles. 6 years at at Big Boulder. But I think to Johnny's point, I think the challenging part coming from an ops standpoint is they need to realize that not every marketing person is necessarily invested in the brand or is passionate about the brand as I would say most ops people are. Like, I feel like ops has an unbridled passion of like, hey, like we make the magic happen day to day. Coming from the enterprise, I couldn't believe how many people have never had their boots on the ground, and I thought that was like a really important eye opening for me, where it was like, well, shoot, like I've literally rode shotgun with my people over the years, and I just couldn't believe how many people on my scoped team were like, well, how do you know that? And I was like, well, because I've done it. It was very challenging for me to understand how to communicate that to them. Like, if you've never if you've never operated a snowcat or rolled a snowmaking hose, how can you understand like how ops is feeling, and how does ops communicate that to marketing? I don't know if they can effectively or efficiently, and it's I think it's going to be a forever challenge in our space. It's a tough answer, I know, but I've just been on both sides of it. I don't feel like there's a perfect fit.
I just think it's a revolving door around the communication. And I think once one level of volume with that communication kind of overtones the other, then it gets a bit heavy. And I think that's where I think that's where operational people get very intimidated to speak up.
And I think you actually I think you nailed it. It's truly about communication, and I'm not sure why there's like that rub, so to speak, internally with most operations, where it's like we're not having honest conversations. And I think the snow sports industry would be better as a whole if we figured out a way to do that. But what's the catalyst that makes it happen, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's tough.
It's tough. Like, it's one thing for somebody to come to somebody and go, "Yeah, we don't have enough money to do that," and execute it. It's another thing for another individual to go, "Yeah, we're gonna do this," and then the other individual who's in operations say, "Well, you just told me that we couldn't do this other thing, and it cost the same amount of money. Like, what are we doing here?" It requires same number of people, etc.
Well, and I mean, let's be honest. Like, the marketing department doesn't know what a tire guide, what a grouser, what a tank of diesel costs, and also like what that person's time is worth. You know, like if it's a 20-hour shift to create something awesome, and marketing reaps the benefits of it, is that person feeling fulfilled? And again, I've been on the wrong side of that process, and it's not okay. I just think it's important that there are more honest conversations across all of our industry. I think it's important.
If you were to define yourself outside of the snow industry, like I would, it's hard for me to picture Pat Morgan outside of the snow industry doing anything. But if you if you were, what would that look like? And the follow up to that would really be, what would your dream job be?
So it's funny. I thought about that extensively. I would either have an event agency, but I actually have a very big passion for motorsports and the branding horsepower behind. Well, not to
Pun
use
intended.
horse. Yeah. Like as soon as I said it, I was like, fuck. But every sticker on that car is worth X amount of dollars. And that ties back to like my brand based mindset of like, well, shit. It costs $1 million to run that car every weekend. So where does that money come from? And I feel like the challenge of selling and maintaining those relationships would be pretty awesome.
There was most recently you posted a picture of a big fat microphone, and you being an MC of a recent event that you were a part of. But I want to know, just because I'm interested, and I know what it means to kind of have the mic in front of your face producing a podcast, but what does it take to be an MC, dude? Because maybe it's some knowledge and understanding, and you're on top of whatever it is that you're speaking to or hosting, and maybe it's energy. I don't know, but I guess the ultimate question is: does it require a Bruce Buffer level of execution, or is it mostly fucking bullshit, dude? Like, what's the deal?
I actually had to. When you initially sent me some precursors, I actually had to look up who Bruce Buffer was.
Oh, no shit.
Holy moly. He's got one of the biggest voices ever. The whole thing with like MCing is you got to do a little research. You got to be passionate about what you're doing. Working for Red Bull, like, I did everything from boxcar races to chariot races, snowboard events, ski events, and even like movie premieres and things like that. So kind of learned to be very well-rounded very quickly. And I realized during my early inception, like trying to MC like Mani Mania events, I was like, well, I don't know a laser flip from a hard flip. One of the guys that I've always looked up to in terms of shot calling is Nelson Wormstead. I don't know if you know.
I do definitely know that. Yeah.
We always talked about trying to get in the mix in terms of like street league or just lending like ancillary mouth running at events that he was working on. And tremendous respect for that dude, like just crushing it.
He's a G.
I don't know how he knows how many rotations. He's kind of like Todd Richards, he can just kind of shot call it. And I think it's about like brand recognition and continuous call outs and things like that. Like there's definitely a metric for success to be an MC, and not everybody has that. It's definitely a skill that I would certainly try and lend to anybody that was interested. It takes a lot to get up in front of a room of perfect strangers and speak your truth.
Pat, I think it's that time of the show where we've got to do the push road questions of the day. So I will go ahead and roll the intro and we'll jump right into it.
The push road question of the day.
That's right, the push road question of the day. It's my favorite part of the show, especially if it's introduced by that young lady. Okay, I think we're going to start off on the lighthearted side. We've had a lot of people who have weighed in on Pat's episode, and so we're going to be fair to the guests who have been on before, but we're going to try to stay between the 4 and 5 range of push road questions. But the first push road question that you've got, Pat, is from Eric Langman. And Eric's question is, he wants to know anchor bar or Duffs. Which one?
Oh gosh, he knows better. That is a very irresponsible question. from from Mr. Langman, coming from Western New York roots. Everybody knows Duff's is the go-to. And actually, if I really want to call him out,
Call him out.
barbell, like that's the
Ooh.
actual go-to in Western New York. Anchor bar is for tourists. Duff's is for people that don't want to be tourists. And yeah, barbell is the go-to for Josh Allen of the future Super Bowl champion Buffalo Bills.
Heck of a question. I thought you were going to choose one or the other. I'm glad you kind of went sidebar there and took it somewhere else. Yeah, I appreciate that. Langman, you should have known better, man. God.
Shout out to him for he produced some pretty cool like street art for the Game of Snow at Big Snow, with Slush magazine, and super appreciative of his time doing his street art thing. It was awesome.
Alex Sinclair has a push road question, and he wants to know, how has the change in resort management affected your park career on the East Coast?
I'm more scoped into a marketing role these days, although very passionate about freestyle terrain and obviously the evolution of parks and whatnot. So, it's not HoliMont, Holiday Valley, or Big Boulder Park anymore. I'm not the park guy that I used to be.
Next push road question is from John Yates. And John wants to know, what was your favorite event back in the day during the Big Boulder Park days?
Oh, gosh. It's hard to not call out Hell Track because we had some incredible legacy there. Working with Crush on Plaza Zero was pretty incredible as well. And then I'm going to throw another lateral in there. Anything that we did with Park Affair to celebrate women's snowboarding was pretty awesome there too. And couldn't believe that we had an event that truly netted women from 6 to 60. I'll forever be grateful for their participation and just letting us be a part of their legacy. So
Dan McNamara wants to
oh
know.
My God.
Wants to know any advice you got to up and comers just getting into the industry?
So Dan McNamara was my boss at Forum.
Wow.
And he actually long story short, the apartment that I rented in Ellicottville, he actually lived there himself as he was working for Urban and the boardroom. Wow. Advice: never turn down an opportunity. Never say no unless it challenges your ethics, and ride any snowboard you're given, because those things aren't free. And there's a lot of great people out there making things happen so that we can slide sideways. So
Joe Genovese has a recorded push road question for you, so I will play that for you now.
Hey, Parker. Hey, Pat. Thank you, Madison, for the lovely intro. I was just wondering if, Pat, you actually know what a push road is. Go.
I actually respect that level of shade that Joe just threw at me.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was pretty heavy.
That was good. But yeah, I I sure do, Joe, and we can talk about it anytime that you like.
On a real note, Pat, you almost came to work for Seven Springs. It was at least talked about before you went to Big Boulder, and you decided to go to the small hill and actually become a true competitor with Seven Springs, which is very commendable. Do you want to talk about that and how you took that small mountain and really put it on the map, and how it feels now to have it kind of, I don't want to say non-existent, but definitely not quite what it was when you were there.
I'd be lying to say it didn't hurt to see everything that we created. Johnny, myself, Devitt, others, to see that just eradicated. It's still a tough pill to swallow, even down the road. But
do you think that kind of developed your sense of creativity, of what it meant to, be competitive, develop a brand, think of a marketing voice?
well, I think the cool thing with Boulder is like Greg Fisher and Jesse Boyd, they kind of liked that I was a little bit of a a little bit of a rascal and combative, and honestly, like, we used to come at Mountain Creek, and and now here we
Damn.
are.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Here we are, a plot twist. Insane leadership, trust, and all that from a senior level. Feel very fortunate to be able to go down that road with Joe Genevieve.
Joe Genevieve. Our next push row question comes from Mr. Well, we'll just call him the Josh McLeod. I believe you know Josh McLeod, Mr. McLeod. But his question to you, Pat, is who's the greatest park builder you know?
Man, well, I certainly love working with Josh and Matt Byerly here at Mountain Creek. And obviously, Josh comes from Bear Creek. Byerly comes from Snowshoe. But now we've got a really tight team here at Mountain Creek. It's really that's a really tough thing to nail down. I have a ton of respect for what Sugarbush is doing, Killington's doing, Joe, Joel, all those guys out at Seven Springs, Keith and his team at Wyndham. But at the end of the day, like, I'm just really glad that the East is thriving, and I hope it continues. I hope we stay on the gas and continue to focus on freestyle terrain, because with a lot of resorts stepping away from it, it's more important than ever that we, just continue to realize that is so important to our guest.
I have a bonus question for you, though.
What do you got?
Joel Rerko.
Oh,
Joel wants to know what portion of the ESL Olympics you would win.
Well, Mr. Joel Rerko was part of the initial Eastern Snowboard League development. We called it the Meeting of the Minds. And if I had to hedge a bet, I would say I would have beat Joel in a bear fight. And that's an inside joke. He'll know what it means, and so will his fans. We'll leave it at that.
A fun fact, I don't know, there are probably people out there that know this, but Joel actually was over at Keystone for a period of time before coming back to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Joel, listen, that guy That guy definitely belongs on an future episode, we'll say, of the Blade Dive. But yeah, love that dude. Love Joe over there. The entire team at Seven Springs. And here's the thing: if you're gonna talk to Joel, you just gotta sound real salty, and if you gotta talk to Joe, you just gotta sound like you just got out of the woods. So.
Yeah, that's great. That's actually perfect. That's spot on advice.
You'll figure it out. The 412 doesn't mess around. So love those dudes though.
Yeah.
All in.
Yeah, they don't play games. I appreciate that. I know I enjoyed my conversation with Joe. Would love to have Joel on the show. So, all right. Well, Pat, hey, thanks for participating in this week's Push Road Questions of the Day.
Question of the day.
One thing we always usually discuss is the future, and I would definitely be interested to know where you think the future of the snow industry is headed, what it looks like. I've mentioned to you before, kind of Big Snow looks like it's ahead of that game, and maybe what can we expect?
I don't know, like what does the snow sports industry look like? I think we need to continue to advocate for accessibility, participation. Those things are important. And without those things, we don't have jobs. So I just think it's like really, really mega important that we don't forget those things. But I'm one voice in the room, and it's what I know to be true.
I will say this. We have been chatting for a while, and I've been grateful for the time. I think it's the best part of trying to create a conversation. People always ask me, they're like, man, it's got to be easy to just roll through those questions. And it's like, yeah, well,
no.
If somebody answers a list of 10 questions and we roll through it in an hour, what am I doing with, I'm grateful for you. I'm so grateful for your time. And it's meant the world to me to have you come on the podcast and talk to all of us about who you are, where you've come from, what it's like to be you in your world of marketing and relate it to the operator world with your understanding of operations. And I don't think it will go unnoticed, man. Very appreciative. Thanks so much, Pat, for taking the time.
Yeah, again, Parker, I just feel very appreciative to A, be included, B, to lend my voice to just what we're all up to at the end of the day. And it's just very, very, again, humbling to be included, and I hope this is received well.
Huge thank you to Pat Morgan. This week's Blade Dive episode, it was really cool having him talk about what it is to have an operations team speak to a marketing department and then have a marketing department speak to a operations team. So just two totally different languages, different multiple dialects. Pat's Pat. He's never been anybody else but himself. And again, I know I'm beating the brakes off of that one, but if you would like to participate in the pro tips that I'm trying to piece together, you can just tag us in your stories. Let us know what you're doing during your process at work with your material, with your snow, or what you're doing in the cab to make things easier for you. Just hit us up. Let us know what's going on. I've gotten so many requests for how to do things or how other people do things, or can you show us a video, or what does that look like? And I think it'd be rad to you can send in as many as you want. I don't think that we'll not highlight it if you don't share it. Hell yeah, we'll definitely tag you in stories. But if you send it in, it'd be really cool to highlight one a week that would be the pro tip, and it goes into the highlight button on the Instagram homepage. So yeah, hit us up. That'd be awesome. I think we wrap. All right, you know the deal. Don't be a dick. Please fill your machine up with diesel at the end of your shift.